Hello! So, y'all usually know me like this, or sometimes it'll be curly or something, but I'm going to tell a little story today. So, last year, about April or May or so, I started noticing that I was getting some bald spots in the back of my head. I kind of freaked out. I kind of had a breakdown. And then as time went on, it would slowly get bigger. So I looked online and I came upon alopecia, which is when something happens and your body starts doing something to your hair follicles. And so your hair starts to fall out. It attacks your hair follicles. So your body starts attacking your hair follicles, so your hair falls out. Usually starts in spots that kind of grow. Eventually it can go over the entire head. And that's what I realized I had. So it kind of kept spreading. I cut my hair short because it had been longer, and it's not very fun when you're like in the shower and you notice hair's coming out, or you wake up in the morning and you're brushing through your hair and hair's coming out. So I had cut it short so it wasn't as long. And then at Comic-Con, there was the beautiful Miss Karen Gillan, who shaved her head for the Guardians of the Galaxy panel. Well, not for the panel, for the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, for her character. And someone asked her, and so in the middle of the panel, and someone asked her about how her character has a bald head, how did she do that? And so in the middle of the panel, she just takes off her wig, and voila, bald head. So I kind of eventually did that. This was in about November. And of course it also kind of worked out because one of my friends was having a party with a costume theme of scandal. And to me that was kind of a scandal, having Karen shave off her beautiful red hair. And I have a cat who is trying to get onto my lap. But so I decided to just completely shave off my head because it was going to be easier. Plus, I'd seen the doctor and she prescribed something for me which is supposed to help. Kind of has, but it really does take sometimes between 6 months to a year for the hair to start growing back in spots. So some of them are, but like especially on the back, it still has some parts that are not quite growing back yet. So I figured it'd be easier to just shave it all off, and then as it started growing back, it can grow uneven. But then, of course, it still hasn't quite grown back, so I last night, just reshaved it. But so at the time, so I went to the party, had the wig on, had almost the exact outfit that she was wearing that day, and I was her, and I did kind of shock some of my friends, and people were asking, like, what, why? So I explained, it's not exactly something that I really chose to do without the influence of alopecia. But, so then today is the first time, aside from that party, is when I've actually gone out in public without a wig on. Because at work I'll wear a wig. Sometimes I'll change colors, and actually it's kind of fabulous because I realized that I look good in a lot of different colors. I've got black, blonde, red, brown, whatever. I've worn turquoise hair for Ramona Flowers. But it's kind of nice to actually not have any hair. You know, I shave a lot. That's funny. I shave a lot of money off on my bills because I don't have to buy shampoo and conditioner and other things to style hair with, except I style my wig sometimes, but that's the reason why. And now y'all know I have no hair right now. It was actually kind of looking good. I'm going to pull up a picture. I took this picture before I reshaved it last night. So this is how it looked. You can kind of tell. That's how it looked on the front. But then on the back, you can kind of see there's still some spots. So it wasn't exactly the most full coverage, and it's still kind of obnoxious, but I kind of took a bit of my courage and went outside like this. And it was kind of liberating because this entire time, I had a mental breakdown at work one day, and I got there and just the tiniest thing set me off, and I ended up having to be sent home because I was just so stressed and emotional about this, because when you love having your hair and you get used to it, and then eventually you realize, what is this? Why is the skin so soft back there? Why is there no hair there? It really freaks you out. And I didn't really tell anyone except for my roommate, obviously, because she's like, hey, what's wrong? I couldn't really tell anyone. It was difficult to go through. It's not a very, it's a kind of rare thing. I think it's like, it affects like a very small amount of people. But I looked online and I watched videos of other people who were going through alopecia and how they've been dealing with it. And eventually, like, I would start wearing wigs because some of the spots, like in the temples especially, it's kind of, I don't think it's really started going back there yet. And it was just kind of really awkward. I had some, like there's one spot, like, right on the back of my head, and that you kind of see, and I saw in pictures, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? So that's when I started wearing the wigs that I had, thankfully, from cosplay, which looked pretty good, and no one could really notice. Some people were eventually like, is that your real hair? And I'd be like, no, and they're like, some people would ask what color is it really, because at work you can't have unnatural colored hairs. I'm like, I actually don't have any hair. And then I would explain why, and they'd be like, oh, okay. And like, some people would be like, oh, I have a cousin who went through that, or I know someone who went through that. And so it's just, as I slowly started telling more people, usually when they would ask, I became a bit more comfortable with the fact of what I was going through. And it really helps, because this entire time you're thinking, oh my god, what are people gonna think? I can't just go out without any hair on. And you realize it really doesn't matter that much. Especially these people who are your friends, they don't care. They'll understand. And now I was able to go outside without any hair, and it felt phenomenal. And I didn't have to worry about, like, when I first walked outside, I'm just like, okay, just breathe, just breathe. No one says anything. No one's like, why don't you have any hair? Where'd your hair go? Why'd you shave off your hair? And it was just nice. So that's it. That is why, if you were wondering, and people were wondering why I have no hair, and if you watched any of my previous videos, why my hair color changed. So this is my head. I have no hair. And thankfully, my head's, like, actually pretty nice and round, so, you know, I can pull it off well, is what people have said. So, thanks for watching. Now you know my story. Feels kind of nice to get it out. See ya.